this video is dedicated to all the Chris Brown apologists, right? So many people pretending as though they don't know why. They don't know why people are fed up with Chris Brown. Why does Chris have so many haters? Why are you guys jealous of Chris? This video is for you guys. So here are three things I want Chris Brown apologists to not forget, right? So I've heard a few comments and I just want to react to some of the popular things that are being said. The first thing that's being said is that there is selective rage at Chris Brown. Is there a double standard? So I saw Impressive, the channel Impressive. She has a great channel. She really, breaks down some pop culture things. She makes this big elaborate list of all the people that Chris Brown, all the women that Chris Brown has worked with, and nobody was angry with him. She lists Ariana Grande, she lists Tinashe, she lists Danny Lay, she lists her, Normani, and Chloe Bailey. And nobody was upset when he worked with Tinashe, Ariana Grande, Danny Lay, her, but all of a sudden, people are mad that he's working with Normani and he's working with Chloe Bailey. People are mad about that. And she then boiled it down to the fact that people just don't like Normani and they don't like Chloe Bailey. And she said some stuff. I don't agree with her all the time, clearly, which I just wanted to address some of those claims, right? So the Ariana Grande video, I actually worked on the set of that video, and that was in 2014. And just before we shot the video, Ariana Grande was Chris had been in jail. That was when he was in jail. I can't remember why he was in jail. one of the many times that he's just had the degenerate behavior. So he was in jail. And then he had left jail. We shot the video. And then he did something else again and went back to jail. And at that time, remember the last video, I broke down how everybody is claiming that we can't get over the Rihanna situation. And I feel like we keep saying time and time again that it wasn't, people forgave him after Rihanna. He became a big star after Rihanna. By 2014, he was a superstar. That year, his music was playing on the radio non-stop. You would turn on one channel, it would be playing. You turn on another channel, it'll be playing. They'll play his song once on one channel on the radio. They'll play another song, then they'll play Chris Brown's song again. That's he had the whole LA radio stations on lockdown, and I'm sure he had it in other countries too. But I just didn't understand why in LA they only played Chris Brown. It was crazy. And so he had definitely recovered. His career had recovered by then, undeniably to the fact that Ariana Grande, who wasn't as big as she is today, but she was still huge at the time. She was still a post-Nickelodeon star, and she was kind of a bit on her rise, but she was still super popular. I don't know who to compare her to right now, but she was still big enough, right? She works with Chris Brown. She has Scooter Braun as her manager at the time, right? And they decide they're not going to release that video. Now, I never heard anything. I didn't hear why they didn't release the video. I just knew that video hadn't come out, and I was like, wait, what's happening with the video? All of a sudden, the video leaks. If you even go and check out the video, it's not on Chris Brown's Vivo. It's not on any legit website. It was a leaked video. And the only explanation for why it leaked, this is my conclusion, right, of what happened. He went back to jail. Scooter Braun was like, hell no. Ariana Grande, former Nickelodeon star, superstar, her target audience are kids. She's absolutely not going to be releasing a song with an ex-convict who also happened to abuse women and do all these other things, a slew of other things on his, under his name. She doesn't want to position, he didn't want to position Ariana Grande with Chris Brown. And hence, notice how he's never really worked with any superstar. He's only ever working with people on their rise up. He's not working with them when unless they're rappers, right? Unless they're rappers. And you can go check this. Maybe I'm wrong. It's because y'all love to be like, no, he worked with this person. But as far as I can think, anyone that's super A-list, he's not working with, unless they're a rapper, because rappers are allowed to work with degenerates and be degenerate themselves. But like, you don't really see him working. Okay, Nicki Minaj, but she's a rapper. She's a rapper. But apart from rappers, name one person that Chris Brown has worked with post beating Rihanna. I'm curious. I'm actually curious, right? I don't think he's working with anyone like that. Like, you know, that isn't on their rise up. So these are the people that they brought up. Tinashe, let's be real. Tinashe never popped. I worked on her first ever music video too. It was that same year, 2014. What was it called? I love to get on. I love to get too on. That was a dope song. She never popped. So, you know, then there was Danny Lay. Danny Lay never come on. This is not a real list of people that Danny Lay is known for being, what's his name's baby mama. And I'm not coming for her for that. But she never really popped either. She became famous by doing that Kiki dance from Drake. Kiki, do you love me? Are you riding? Yeah. So like, Danny Lay was never like, her song with Chris Brown was the biggest thing she ever did in her career, apart from having a baby by the baby. So like, let's be real. These are not people that like are established celebrities. Okay, so her, I could say like fairly sure, like her is a big star. She's done a few songs with her. I don't know if she was like huge when he did the song with her. I don't know why people were never mad at her for making music with him. I don't know about that, but I just don't think that her, as much as yes, she's a big star, I don't think that she has the same kind of attention as Chloe Bailey. I don't think so. And Normani either, because Normani began attention. Like, her last two songs have like hundreds of millions of views, like crazy views. And she was in Fifth Harmony. She was in like the biggest girl group of that era, right? So like, Normani like is legit, but her is a big star now. But I don't know why. I can't tell you. Maybe it's her branding, maybe the way she packages herself. People just don't see her. I kind of like look at her like kind of like a SZA. Like, she's like famous, or like a Bruno Mars. Like, they're famous for their music, but they're popular for their music, but they're not famous. Like we know who they are, but they're not like, I don't know how to describe it. They're just branded for their music. Like, Bruno Mars has done the Super Bowl, he's done all these things, but he's like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm just basically trying to say that the way she packages herself is the music comes first, and Chloe Bailey and Normani kind of lean more on their personalities as well as their music. They do the whole celebrity 360 celebrity thing. I just don't get that from her. I don't get that from SZA. I don't get that from Bruno Mars. And that's my point. So I guess what I'm just trying to say is that I understand why people were mad at Normani and Chloe Bailey, right? That's just my thing, right? So another thing that I saw was Chris Brown listing all the white people. Chris Brown is such an idiot. He was listing all the white people that have committed domestic violence, and nobody cared. But when I do it, you guys all care. It's not fair. I should be able to beat women. I should be able to attack women and get away with it. That's Chris Brown's whole spiel. So he lists all these white people that says, these are all the white people who have, so Chris calls out white celebrities who have been accused of domestic violence. Look at this. This is an extensive list of white people that have also done this. Look at this extensive list. Look at this extensive list, right? He lists all these white people. And to me, here's why I just feel like he just lacks accountability, Chris Brown. And this is one of my biggest problems with him, because like, these three are rock stars, right? They're rock stars. Rock stars are very similar to rappers. They are allowed to be degenerates. They rap about drug addiction and murdering or raping people and all crazy kinds of things. They align themselves with like the devil, Satan, and all that. Like, that's what rock stars do. So like, I just feel like it's not off brand. I'm not justifying anybody abusing anyone. I do not support that. I think it's absolutely disgusting. I'm just telling you about how Chris Brown wants to have his cake and eat it too. He wants to be able to get away with beating women. And he also wants to access the celebridom. He wants to access the avenues of celebrity that performs at the Super Bowl, that performs at the AMAs, that does all these things, because he sees his peers like the Rihannas, the Justin Biebers, the Drakes. He sees these people that either came up with him or even came up after him and are recognized around the world, celebrated around the world. And when Chris Brown was a kid, they promised him that he would be the next Michael Jackson, and he's supposed to be the one. Why can't I perform at the Super Bowl and beat women? That's Chris Brown's mentality. And he wants to have his cake and eat it too. When it's not going to fly. It's just not going to fly. So a lot of these people, these are rock stars who are low-key kind of degenerates themselves. Didn't Tommy Lee brag about having sex for I can't remember, a long period of time without washing his penis or something disgusting. These are come on. And okay, these are actors, right? And when it comes to actors, because they play roles that are risque, they can get away with doing crazier things than a pop star. Not a pop star. You're trying to be a pop star, an R&B pop star, and you think you want to get away with degenerate behavior. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. So, and I'm not supporting it, but again, these are actors who who have been canceled and forgotten. We have him over here who was wasn't he anti-Semitic and did some crazy stuff? Come on. And then so Charlie Sheen who contracted HIV and spread it or just did some degenerate stuff as well. Okay. And I don't know much. I remember these guys, but I don't know much about their personal stories. And these are women, right? So when it comes to women and domestic violence, it just so happens that women just don't get the same backlash as men. And I think male and female domestic violence is both disgusting. You should not attack anybody. It's absolutely unacceptable. All of those things. But at the same time, you have to understand the reason why society does not get as angry when women do it as when men do it. And it comes to the fact that we don't have the same the muscle mass as men. If a woman attacks a man, chances are he can body her and the fight is over. And chances are if he does do that, he would get in way more trouble than she is. But I just think the mentality in society is that you're a man, you are stronger, which is a very toxic mentality. I'm just explaining people's mentalities. I'm not saying that I support it or not, but I just see that, when it comes to these women, it's kind of seen as people just kind of sweep it under the rug and they don't address it, because 9 times out of 10, a man is going to be stronger than a woman and he's going to be able to beat her. He's going to be able to fight her off him and all of those things. So I think people just kind of neglect it, but definitely equally as disturbing. And, he's not wrong for these, this list that he created. He's not wrong to say what the hell? Why am I being the one that's hated? But I think one thing that he keeps failing to understand is that Chris Brown, all these people, most of them, I don't remember last time even she made something that I went to go see or watched. Most of these people have, first of all, they come from a different era. They were famous in the 90s, earlier than that, or later than that, but mainly before social media. So before social media, there was a level of protection and protection of media, because you could literally regulate what is posted or what is publicized before. So they could easily pay for whatever media to not come out into the public very easily before. So a lot of the traditional media was gatekept. And if the industry insider, who might also be an abuser, decides that they don't want to expose Johnny Depp or whoever, they decide they want to do that, then at the end of the day, no one's going to know. So it has to do with these people come from a different era and it's being hidden. And people claim that, there are people today that are still abusive and nobody's outing them. But I don't know, right? I don't know about all that. And I'm not saying that at the end of the day, I think all of it is as equally as disturbing. But the problem with Chris Brown for me, and I keep repeating this, is the fact that this is the same person that was trying to perform at the AMAs. This is the same person that was whinging about, they'll never pick me for the Super Bowl. He's whinging about these things, but it's at the end of the day, Why don't you like take a page from these guys' books, go and hide in a corner and be quiet, and then nobody's going to talk about you. Like another example, Trey Songz. Nobody talks, like Trey Songz is apparently one of the most disgusting people in Hollywood. Nobody's talking about Trey Songz. Why? Because Trey Songz, number one, he was never a pop star like Chris Brown. He never had that kind of attention. He was popular amongst the black community and in R&B circles. He had one song that really charted. Like, he's had songs that were good, but like one song that really charted him and made him get so much attention, which was like Say Ah. But Trey Songz was never seen as a superstar. He was never seen, he was almost like always like this B-list celebrity, where he had a moment that he would say that he got to like maybe an A- list, but he went back down. So he's not getting attention in a way that like anybody would say, let's pay attention to Trey Songz and let's cancel him, right? And if you look at the list of things that Trey Songz has been accused of doing, it's quite disturbing. And it's crazy to me how the industry has protected him for so many years and no one has said anything for so many years. And all this stuff is now unfolding, and it's really, really disturbing. And I made a video about how pretty boy R&B stars are like basically presented as degenerates in the media, like from Michael Jackson to Chris Brown to R. Kelly to Trey Songz. All of them, just some way, somehow, they always have some scandalous thing that happens that is really disturbing, and I wondered why. But I think at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, Chris Brown has to understand that to much is given, much is required. And there's a level of him being this childhood superstar that we were promised that it's going to be the next Michael Jackson, packaging him in that way. And the stark contrast of him attacking Rihanna was shocking. And I would equate that to an extreme version of Britney Spears, you know, when she had that same promise of like, this is this superstar, you know, person that was packaged as a superstar. And then she falls into this drug addiction and she goes crazy and she does all these crazy things. Or even Justin Bieber, who had his crazy sprout of years. When he was this child star, then he turned into this like, you know, person in the media he was also doing drugs, but we didn't know at the time. And all of them received backlash. But the difference between Chris Brown and the two of them that I mentioned is, with them, they were inflicting self-harm, right? They were inflicting self-harm. With Chris Brown, he harmed another person. You didn't just harm just anybody. You harmed an equally huge superstar who just so happened to be a black woman too. And so you have to like be accountable for that. Like I have said this. People forgave Chris Brown. Chris Brown came back and better than ever. He was performing at VMAs. You know, how many VMAs has Chris Brown performed at? A lot. He beat Rihanna in 2009. By 2011, he was already performing at the VMAs. But in 2009, they almost booked him to do Michael Jackson's tribute. That's how people forgave him that quickly. But again, you're going to have to watch my last video when I broke down that he kept doing more and more things. He kept doing more and more things that made sure people said, we're not going to support you anymore because you keep doing things. You're in or out of jail. You push Karrueche down the stairs, allegedly. There's even a list. There's somebody that made a list of things that Chris Brown did. Right. Someone made a list of all the stuff that Chris Brown did and has been accused of, because I keep seeing all these comments like on social media, and they're like, what are you guys complaining about? He hasn't done anything. Like, he only beat Rihanna. Like, give him a second chance. People keep saying stuff like that, and it's like, dude, like, you guys choose to ignore the fact that this guy has been accused and has been proven in court to doing certain things. It was proven. So someone said nearly beat Rihanna to death. Like, okay, has abused other women. Karrueche. There are other women that have come out to, strangled a woman, is a colorist, you know, so he's been accused of colorism many, many times. I'm not even going to mention the thing that happened in London a few days ago because that was disproven. But some girls tried to go into a club and claimed that they wouldn't let them in the club because of Chris Brown. They said only white girls. and people were like pissed and said it was Chris Brown, and Chris Brown was like, what are you talking about? There was a black girl standing next to him. And he says, like, I have black queens all around me. But Chris Brown has been accused of this many times in nightclubs of not letting black women on his table and around him. So this is a thing. And we've never seen Chris Brown date a dark-skinned black woman either. So, and not that he has to do what you want to do, but it's definitely pushing the colorism talks, right? Because at the end of the day, where he makes his money is from dark-skinned black women. And this is actually why people are upset about Chloe Bailey and Normani working with him. Even though Chloe Bailey is not dark-skinned, she's very visibly black. And so there's this level of, you shouldn't support him because, like, this is how he treats us black people. But anyway, so there's another one that says he's a misogynist, abusive lyric songs, that he's been accused of all sorts of misogyny in his songs. He stalked Karrueche. She had a restraining order against him, and apparently he pushed her down the stairs, and the restraining order was granted. So that's another questionable thing. He mocked Kehlani's suicide attempt, and then he has a bunch of sexual assault allegations. So for all the people that keep saying time and time again, what did Chris Brown do? Why did you guys hate him? He didn't do anything. Leave him alone. I think, like, people want to leave him alone. They just don't want him to, and I'll get into this, but people just don't want him to be pedestalized, right? And I'll break this down in a second. So here we go. Chris Brown wanting to have his cake and eat it too. So here's the real crux of the whole story, right? Oh, okay, before I even bring that up, I talked about Trey Songz, and I talked about the fact that, you know, Trey Songz is only really famous in the black community. So Chris Brown comparing himself to all these people that are also degenerates and saying, I only get attention for it because I'm black, and other people don't get attention for this, and people just hate me. It's not just Rihanna. It's all the other things that you have done and you consistently do, and the fact that you, like, get into fights with people, you threaten to beat up people that work for you. It's just, like, ridiculous. Like, it's ridiculous. And then he brings up Chrisean and Blueface and says, like, they act terrible. But again, I bring my point back. Chrisean and Blueface only known for doing podcast and, like, in the blogosphere. They are not established celebrities. They are known on the internet. They're known in the comment section. They're known in the shade room. Nobody is bringing them to the Super Bowl to perform. Nobody is bringing them to even, like, have you ever seen them at the American Music Awards? Have you ever seen them in any award show before? No. They're on a reality TV show, not even on VH1, but on Zeus Network, which is a digital show, which is a digital platform. So, like, when he brings them up and says, you know, like, you guys love them and you guys celebrate them, but what about me? Like, you know, and you come after me. It's the fact that, again, all the examples of people that you keep bringing are people that are not celebrated by mainstream media. You want to have your cake and eat it too, because you want to be able to beat women and get away with it and have mainstream media still celebrate you. And that's just not going to fly. And that's just the issue. You keep trying to, you know, perform at the AMAs and perform at these, like, you know, massive events because you see your peers like Rihanna, you see your peers like Justin Bieber, like Drake, because when you were coming up, they promised you were going to be the biggest thing. You see all of these people and you want to do it like they do it. But you forget that you not just once, you didn't just beat up Rihanna. You consistently do degenerate things. But you still want to have your cake and eat it too and still access the same levels of fame and celebridom as the rest of them, but act like a degenerate. And it's not going to work. It's not going to fly. If you want to act like a rapper, that's totally fine, but just expect that there are repercussions to your actions and you're going to be treated like a rapper. Like, I look at 6ix9ine, who brags about killing people and who actually, like, has done all sorts of nasty, disgusting things, and people just love him on social media. But do you see him being celebrated at any mainstream established event? No one's celebrating 6ix9ine. Do they even invite him places? He even complains about how Billboard never ranks his stuff. Like, even though his song might do well, Billboard magazine will never say that he did well. And he goes after that because mainstream media is not going to celebrate degeneracy. And so if you want to be a degenerate, that's fine. Be a degenerate, but don't think that you're going to be celebrated. And my point here is, when it comes to the reason why everyone was upset with him in the first place, is because he's trying to align himself with Chloe Bailey. Now, what is Chloe Bailey now? Yes, we know Chloe Bailey is a little scandalous, but number one, she's signed by Beyonce Parkwood Entertainment. You know, they're packaging her like a superstar, the next, you know, person. I wouldn't say the next Beyonce, but they're packaging her like possibly like the next, I don't know what to, I don't want, let me not compare her to anyone, but they're packaging her like the next big thing, right? Let's also remember that her sister is on the Disney's Little Mermaid, one of the most iconic cartoons that ever existed. A Disney cartoon that's going to be watched by probably over 1 billion people around the world, maybe even more. Disney, her sister is aligned with that. And like it or not, you could say that, well, Chloe isn't aligned with that. Chloe is her own brand. That's not how it works in Hollywood. Whatever Halle and Chloe do, they are attached to each other. It's like Logan Paul and Jake Paul. And Jake Paul talks about how when Logan did the suicide thing in Japan, Jake lost like all of his brand deals. He didn't do anything, but because of that was his brother and their brands are automatically attached, he lost all of his brand deals. He had massive deals that he lost. And so I'm saying all this to say, Chloe and Halle are an extension of each other, even more than Jake and Logan, because they even had a girl group together and made music together. So they are massively connected to each other. And so Chris Brown is trying to cheat his way to access mainstream Hollywood by collaborating with these types of people, and thinks that we're not going to pay attention because maybe Chloe is a little scandalous, but she's still packaged. She's still adjacent with a Disney brand, just like the Ariana Grande situation when Scooter, I wouldn't say it's Scooter, but this Ariana Grande's team were like, hell no, we're not releasing this with Chris Brown. If they could do that with Ariana Grande, you think they're not going to do that with the Little Mermaid? The Little Mermaid. Ariana Grande was on Nickelodeon, not even the Disney Channel, and they did that with her. You think they're not going to do it with the Little Mermaid, where there's already backlash around the Little Mermaid right now? And like, let's not even talk about the fact that she's attaching herself with that DGG guy and getting like really bad packaging and the like degeneracy attached to that. They're already like questionable in that space, right? Because of the way that they're behaving or the way that they're attaching themselves. Like Chloe's like scandalous, you know, over sexualized images. And then her sister just dating this guy who's like having beef with his ex-girlfriend, Ruby Rose. It's just a little bit messy for a Disney Channel kid, but we've seen worse come out of Disney. So it is what it is. But also, can I just acknowledge the fact that we did see Chloe Bailey having a conversation with the Prince of England, Prince William, Prince of Wales. Let's not forget that either. So you guys have to understand the status that brings, right? As much as like people could talk about the royal family and all that stuff, there's this status that it brings, and Chloe is among that. Do you think if the Prince of Wales saw Chris Brown, they would let him have conversations with Chris Brown and take pictures? Like, think about it. Rihanna, yes. Chris Brown, no. He doesn't get access to those communities because not only did he beat Rihanna, if he just beat Rihanna and he ended his career as an abuser right there and then, he would be okay right now. But he didn't just beat Rihanna. He went and still started doing other stuff. And people are still going to watch this and be like, what else did he do? What else did he do? I've already broken it down. I'm not going to repeat myself 100 times. Go to the section of this video where I break it down. I made another video when I broke it down too. He keeps doing stuff, right? He keeps doing abusive things, right? And it is what it is. So the main problem with Chris Brown is that he lacks accountability. He just lacks accountability. And has a history of abuse, and it's problematic. So what does this all mean? What does this all mean? And why is it so important that people want Chris Brown to be canceled? Why is it so problematic that Chris Brown gets a voice. And we have to think about influence. People forget this all the time, but celebrities are very, very influential. The things that they do, like the things they do, the things they wear, the things they do is extremely influential. When they do something, people just copy. And so Chris Brown, there's so many men, not just in America, but around the world that look at Chris Brown and, you know, he's gotten away with so much abuse towards women. From the Rihanna beating up of Rihanna, going in and out of jail, attacking men, to threatening his employees to beat them, from his publicist, all sorts of things, pushing Karrueche down the stairs, stalking her, getting a restraining order, being accused of SA multiple times. All the things that he's been doing, there are people that look to him and say, oh, he can get away with it. I should get away with it too. I know actual real life men that are abusers that celebrate Chris Brown. He's a good example to them in life. That is the problem. And so the reason why they're not saying, you know, Kelly Rowland talked about how we need to issue forgiveness and stuff like that. Yeah, we can issue forgiveness. We can be forgiving, but that doesn't mean that you deserve to be amplified. And that's the point. That doesn't mean that you deserve attention. When he does these collaborations with somebody's sister, that they just released the Little Mermaid trailer, and we're just about to wait for the Little Mermaid to come out, and Chloe's doing a song with Chris Brown months apart, he's looking for attention. He's trying to grab attention, mainstream attention. He finds ways to hack his way into the mainstream media to stay relevant in the mainstream media. And he's trying to do everything in his power to get attention, right? And there are implications with attention. You guys have to understand the fact that a whole Rihanna, who is everybody who knows who Rihanna is, she's a superstar, but somehow her performing at the Super Bowl got her 1.5 million more followers on Instagram. That's somebody's whole career. 1.5 million followers, that's a whole career. Rihanna gained a whole career, and then she was searched on Google 833% more just because of one Super Bowl performance. That's the power of attention. So it's one thing to be famous. Like Trey Songz is famous. Nobody talks about his abuse because Trey Songz isn't always finding new ways to get more attention. He's not finding new ways to get in our face. So Trey Songz does all these crazy things, but we forget about it. Because at the end of the day, are you going to keep track of every criminal in the world? Like, there's a reason when we watch the news and they show us criminals and we're like, that crazy person, he deserves whatever. Then you forget about him. It's like the kid that just like, he shot up black people. He drove to a town and he shot some black people in a grocery store. He went, you know, that happened last year, like in May or something last year. We forgot about him. And then he's back in the news again a couple weeks, like a week ago or so. And now we've forgotten about him. Doesn't mean that we don't think he doesn't deserve to go to jail. It's just we don't think that people like that should be amplified and celebrated. That's just the point. And so with Chris Brown, if you keep trying to get more and more attention, we're just going to remember, wait, isn't that the guy that beat Rihanna and Karrueche and did this and did that and did this? So like, why do they keep giving him more attention? Because when you give someone attention, that gives them more power. Money follows attention. I have a whole channel where I talk about the business of media and entertainment. Go check it out, Brand Video Pro. I'll put the link down below. But you're giving this guy attention, and that's what people don't want. We don't want him being celebrated and performing at the AMAs, collaborating with people that are coming out with a Disney movie, one of the most iconic Disney movies of all time. You're attaching his brand to that. That's not, people don't want to see that. Like it or not, it's attention and it's adjacent and it's problematic. So the reason why Chris Brown gets a lot of attention and a lot of people don't is because these other people, they do their crime and they go somewhere and they hide and they're quiet and we don't hear from them. When's the last time you heard about Ozzy Osbourne? When's the last time you heard about Tommy Lee? When's the last time you heard about all the people that he mentioned on his list? We just don't talk about them. Right? But Chris Brown is out here doing what he does, and he's still trying to have his cake and eat it too, and still trying to, perform at the Super Bowl and perform at the AMA and get at, and just get away with stuff. And people are like, no, sure, you did that. Yes, we can forgive you if you stop, but you don't seem to want to stop. But if you did decide to stop, we can forgive you. But at the end of the day, stop always trying to seek attention. And that's my point. That's the problem with Chris Brown. That's why people have a problem with Chris Brown. And the problem is, if I was going to sum it up, it's branding. So those are my thoughts on the whole Chris Brown situation. It's really problematic. It's really irritating. All the people that say who cares? Why are you talking about it? Who cares? If you have the time to type out who cares, and some of you don't even spell that right, if you have the time to do that, then you clearly care about something. You clearly care enough, bro. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. Leave a comment down below. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, all of the above. Make sure you check out my app, Ray Messenger, Ray the AI. Check her out. She's your on-the-go writing assistant. She works exactly like ChatGPT, but she's available on Instagram. Check her out on Instagram, Ray the AI. She's available on WhatsApp. She's available on Facebook Messenger. You could DM her right now. She'll start writing stuff for you. Let me know your thoughts anyway, and I'll see you in the next one. You're watching The Kenim Show, and I'm your host, Kenim. A peace.